I am contesting to be the next governor of our great state, Lagos. As Lagos continues to grow, our teeming population will require affordable housing and good infrastructure. Our government will expand the Lagos Home Ownership Mortgage Scheme to target more people in the area of need and affordability. We will expand the Independent Power Project Scheme to cater for public utilities and light up Lagos. We will pursue a fully integrated transport management system that will utilize roads, rail, waterways, and walkways. We will make Lagos the envy of all.
Vote Akinwumi Ambode for Governor of Lagos State.
To change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, oh. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
You can collect your permanent voters' card PVC at your local government office until January 31st.
Your power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, oh. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
Collect your PVC. Collect your PVC. Collect your PVC.
Your power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
Vote for change.
Vote APC.
APC. Change.
Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle. In our major story, presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, expresses shock that the Nigerian Army has no records of his certificates, makes formal requests to school for the release. Also in this program, the People's Democratic Party calls on Buhari to turn himself up at the nearest police station for lying under oath over his educational qualification. More panic as federal government confirms presence of dreaded bird flu in 7 states. Outside Nigeria, Russia describes President Barack Obama's Tuesday's State of the Union address as United States' sign of dominating the world. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, has made a formal request to Provincial Secondary School Kaduna to release his West African school certificates results. He also insisted that he graduated from the school, which is now known as Government College Kaduna, alongside late General Shehu Yaradua and a former president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Umaru Abdullahi, in 1961. Buhari said at a news conference in Kano that he made the request because he was surprised the Army headquarters has no records of his certificate.
To my surprise, we are now told that although a record of the result is available, there are no copies of the certificates in my personal file. This is why I formally requested my old school, the Provincial Secondary School Kaduna, which is now known as Government College Katsina, to make available the school's copy of the result of the Cambridge West African School Certificate. This will be made available to the press the moment this is available. However, before we obtain that, let me say for the record that I attended Provincial Secondary School Katsina. I graduated in 1961 with many prominent Nigerians, including General Sheikh Musa Adwa, former Chief of Staff and Supreme Headquarters, and Justice Umar Abdullahi, a former President of the Court of Appeal. We searched for the University of Cambridge WASC examination together in 1961, the year we graduated. My examination number was 8200002, and I passed the examination in the second division.
The People's Democratic Party has called on the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, to turn himself up at the nearest police station for lying under oath over his educational qualification. It also wants the army to consider stripping him of his rights and privileges as a retired general because he was never qualified to join the army. Spokesman for PDP's Presidential Campaign Council, Femi Fani-Kayode, said at a news conference in Abuja that Buhari's action amounts to perjury. He also insisted that APC should apologize to Nigerians over the matter.
Information reaching us now has shown that the presidential candidate for the All People's Congress, General Muhammadu Buhari, has disclosed today in Kanu at a press conference that the affidavit he swore to, in which he claimed that his credentials were in the custody of the military, was not true after all. His words, I quote, "I had assumed all along that all my records were in the custody of the military secretary of the Nigerian army. Much to my surprise, we are now told that although a record of the result is available, there are no copies of the certificates in my personal file. This is why I formally requested my old school, the Provincial Secondary School Katsina, which is now known as Government College Katsina, to make available the school's copy of the result of the Cambridge West African School Certificate. This will be made available to the press the moment this is available." End of quote. Now, the implication of the action of this so-called Mr. Clean is nothing but perjury. And we all know that it is a grave criminal offense under our laws and constitution to lie under oath or to tell a lie in an affidavit. We urge Buhari and his party to do the right thing and tender an unreserved apology to the Nigerian people, throw in the towel, and report to the nearest police station for interrogation and prosecution. Anything less than that would be an insult to the collective intelligence and integrity of the Nigerian people. And we must remember that the international community are watching us. Anything less than that, I repeat, would be an insult to the collective intelligence and integrity of the Nigerian people. We also urge the Nigerian armed forces to consider the possibility of stripping him of his rank and privileges, given the fact that he was never qualified to join the Nigerian army as a commissioned officer in the first place, because he never had the prerequisite qualifications, which was a school certificate. Given this, at best, Buhari should never have been anything more than a non-commissioned officer.
Nigeria's ruling party, the People's Democratic Party, says it will hold the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, responsible if anything bad happens to President Goodluck Jonathan. This was its reaction to the Tuesday's attack on the convoy of the president in Katsina. Spokesman of PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Femi Fani-Kayode, said the attack shows that APC had no intention of abiding by the recent Abuja Accord on non-violence.
Katsina show of shame was the first case of violence unleashed on our candidate by supporters of the candidates of the APC General Muhammadu Buhari, after the signing of the historic Abuja Accord by the presidential candidates of all the parties participating in the election. The purpose of that accord was to discourage violence before, during, and after the election. The laudable tension of the accord has now been irresponsibly violated by a group of miscreants and vandals whose leader has proved to be wholly incapable of keeping them in check and restraining them from indulging in violence. It is worrisome that this kind of violent reaction would manifest when the election has not held and their candidate has not yet lost. We are taking this opportunity to serve notice today that by the grace of God and the support of the well-meaning Nigerian electorate, General Buhari will suffer a crushing defeat in the hands of our candidate, President Jonathan, at the polls.
President Goodluck Jonathan took his re-election bid to Kano State on Wednesday in continuation of his nationwide campaign ahead of the 2015 presidential election. Jonathan, who had an arrival in the Asian city, paid a visit to the Emir of Kano, Lamido Sanusi. He was welcomed to the campaign ground by a mammoth crowd. Top PDP bigwigs, among them the Vice President Namadi Sambo, Minister of Education Ibrahim Shekarau, and Governor Sule Lamido of Jigawa State took turns to speak before Jonathan mounts the podium. Jonathan, in his address, promised more development for the people in all areas, including the health sector, where revealed that his government is already working on getting WHO's certification on polio disease.
They say nobody should pass an answer. We would have been declared last year, but because of our challenges. Let me reassure you. This year, the one that are declared the last case of polio was June last year. Hey, move a step. Move a step. They will declare polio.
The dust raised by the controversial campaign advertorial sponsored by the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, is yet to settle. Already meanings are being read into it in Ekiti as the All Progressives Congress has accused Fayose of planning to disrupt the campaign of Muhammadu Buhari and engage thugs in fake security uniforms to clamp down on the persons and posters of APC candidates across the state. Rashid has more on the worrisome development in this report.
A 72-year-old man, sick and old model. Buhari is old model.
Fayose's campaign advertorial on Buhari has elicited more than the usual reaction, with most people interpreting it in the way it best suits them. The Ekiti State chapter of the APC is not left out, as the party leveraged on the heated emotion to accuse the PDP-led government of masterminding plans to cause crisis when Buhari's campaign train hits Ekiti. The state government, however, says its hands are clean.
Fake soldier and army uniforms to be used by people they have trained to perpetrate their evil acts across the state, particularly during the visit of General Muhammadu Buhari's campaign in Ekiti State.
For the government of the PDP in Ekiti State, we don't have that in our agenda, and we will never have that
The APC again cries blue murder over the destruction of campaign posters of the party's candidates and alleges that the PDP has vowed not to allow any campaign by the opposition ahead of polls. Fayoshe's spokesperson took this with a pinch of salt.
All arrangements to ensure that none of our members, particularly those contesting elections, will be allowed to paste posters, to campaign anywhere.
Their presidential candidate is free to come to Ekiti State. Ekiti State is one of his the constituency as a presidential candidate of a party.
The development in the eyes of watchers of Ekiti politics did not come as a surprise, as the government and the opposition have never agreed on a single issue since the inception of the Fayoshe administration.
Ekiti is being put into a political turmoil, a political crisis, pandemonium, a political harakiri, and a political unrest.
Do not allow the APC to use the coming of their candidate to import talks to come and disrupt the peace in Ekiti State.
The development could spiral beyond control if, as observers have warned, all parties involved refused to shift their swords ahead the much-expected visit of Buhari to the state in his ongoing nationwide presidential campaign. Rashid, CoreTV News.
The All Progressives Congress has raised the alarm over what it termed moves by the Nigerian Communications Commission to stifle its fundraising drive for its presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari ahead the February polls. The party's position was made known at a press briefing addressed by its National Publicity Secretary Lai Mohammed in Lagos. Kazim Kasali has more in this report presented from our studio.
The All Progressive Congress, as part of its preparations for the presidential election, had unveiled a platform described by the director of the fundraising team and Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola as one designed to raise money for the party's presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari.
It is a short messaging service, popularly known as text messaging. And for those who want to make payment by this mode, all they need to do is to text 35350. Again, if you want to pay by text message, please text 35350. But here, what happens is that the maximum that you can contribute by texting 35350 is 100 naira per one text message. That's the maximum.
According to the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lai Mohammed, the drive to raise money for its candidate is under threat from the federal government through the Nigerian Communications Commission.
They've chosen the National Communication Commission to strike at the ability of the All Progressives Congress to raise funds.
He added that the party has not broken any law with the use of the existing national telecommunications infrastructure and wondered why the government promises free and fair elections but take contrary steps.
There seems to be an orchestrated campaign to prevent our party, the APC, from using the new platforms of SMS, ringtones, and scratch card to raise funds for our campaign. By the way, legitimate fundraising is a norm around the world to finance electioneering campaign. Hence, we have not embarked on anything that is out of the ordinary by the measures that have been unveiled by Governor Fashola.
The alarm, according to the APC's national spokesman, became necessary, especially at this time, in order to prevent every possible means by the ruling party using federal government's agencies and parastatals to muzzle the opposition ahead the February presidential poll.
The National Human Rights Commission is prepared to prosecute anyone found using hate speech, inciting language as a campaign tool. The Commission's Chairman Chidi Odinkalu issued the warning at an interactive session with journalists in Abuja. He insisted that the Commission will not tolerate political comments that could spark off violence while soliciting the support of the media in the task.
There are lots of good people in public service. You meet them every day, from the police to traffic corps to teachers to medical doctors. Let us stop this thing of trying to put Nigerians down. We are not all thieves. We are mostly good people, overwhelmingly good people. And I still refuse to believe, call me naive, that people go into public service in order to be thieves. They may not do the right thing sometimes. Some of them may not do the right thing most of the time, but I refuse to believe it, that the reason, because the things that come to you in public service are not things that will continue to conduce you to this kind of mindset. Yes, the country can make progress and needs to make progress, but we will not make progress if we continue to believe that our destiny is in the gutter. And if we believe that Nigeria cannot produce transcendental people, because we have done it before, and we've got to be able to believe that we can do it again.
The Police High Command is collaborating with the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers to ensure violence-free elections. Speaking at the launch of a pocket-sized code of conduct booklet for police officers, Inspector General of Police Suleiman Abba urged the union leaders to sensitize their members on the need to avoid violence before, during and after the elections. He cautioned members of the union to be law-abiding and warned that anyone found engaged in acts likely to result in violence will be arrested and prosecuted.
I have not been told that any of your members are involved in acts of thuggery. But let me caution any member who is involved in acts of thuggery that if we identify you, we'll pick you. If we pick you, we will make sure that the law takes its necessary course.
I want to assure the Inspector General of Police that the union have changed from where it was known before. Because before I come on board, there are reports of fighting here and there. In the newspapers here, today, next, tomorrow, we say, but now you can see, you have not been seen that, I have not been witnessed that. So I assure you that the union have taken a stand, and we are going to make sure we collaborate and make sure that we have a free election in 2015.
Federal government confirms spread of bird flu to 7 states. Find out more after this break. Don't go away.
The power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your voice and your power for change, oh my people. Oh. Every Nigerian counts. Vote APC for change.
The time for change is now. No more unemployment. No more insecurity. No more corruption. APC is Nigeria's progressive and people-centered party. Vote for APC. Yes. Vote for APC. Vote for APC. Yes. Who's that in APC? Vote for APC. Yes. To new APC.
The power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote and your power for change, oh my people. Let's vote for change. Every Nigerian counts. Vote APC for change.
Zero tolerance to corruption. 3 million jobs in our nation. No to insecurity. Affordable quality healthcare.
The power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Vote APC for change.
Vote for change. Vote APC. APC. Change.
Your account is too low for this call.
Never get stranded with MTN Extra Time. You can now borrow airtime and pay back at your next recharge. Dial star 606 hash now to enjoy the new MTN Extra Time.
MTN, everywhere you go.
To change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, oh. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
You can collect your permanent voters card PVC at your local government office until January 31st.
Your power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, oh. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
Collect your PVC, collect your PVC, collect your PVC.
Your power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, it's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
Vote for change.
Vote APC.
APC change.
Thank you for being there. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. And if you're just joining us, here is a reminder of our major stories. Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, expresses shock that the Nigerian army has no record of his certificates, makes formal requests to school for the release. People's Democratic Party calls on Buhari to turn himself in at the nearest police station for lying under oath over his educational qualification. More panic as federal government confirms presence of dreaded bird flu in 7 states. And for more news and other information, you can visit a social media platform. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. The Independent National Electoral Commission has called on politicians nationwide to respect the outcome of the 2015 elections because all electoral laws and procedures would be put in place to ensure credible polls. Speaking on behalf of INEC, the Plateau State's resident electoral commissioner, Godwin Kwanga, cautions politicians against heating up the polity. Akwanga, who made this known during a courtesy call on the state governor, Jonah Jang, in Jos, called on all parties to abide by the electoral laws and procedures laid down for the 2015 elections, the report.
As the much-awaited 2015 general elections draw closer, and as the anxiety, politicking, and apprehension heighten, the need for a word of caution to the players has become inevitable. And this time around, it is coming from the electoral umpire calling that its result must be accepted and treated as sacrosanct. The resident electoral commissioner in Plateau State, Godwin Kwanga, who made a call on behalf of INEC, added that democracy can only survive when the results announced by the umpires are accepted.
Because we are going to be as open as possible. We are going to be as open as we can. We are going to abide by the regulations. And by so doing, we would expect that if a result is declared, that result would have been based on the regulations and the principles that are guiding the election and not on anything favoritism. And therefore would expect that those results be respected.
Kwanga said it has become a must to resound the call for all stakeholders to obey the laid down electoral laws on the day of election and ensure they conduct themselves in a manner consistent with the much needed peaceful polls.
During the election, which is on the election day, we would also expect that the regulations guiding the elections on the election day are abided by, and in such a way violence is not experienced. And after the election, we would expect that whatever results that are announced, because we are going to be as open as possible, respected. Body languages of politicians, statements of politicians, depending on how they are. If they are negative, they are likely to cause violence or crisis after the elections. We would also solicit assistance in that regard so that people are made to know that their statements could elicit negative reactions and therefore they should guard what they say.
Responding to the electoral chief, Jang accused the governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, of treasonable felony following his recent statement that his party, APC, will form a parallel government if they lose the elections. He urges the electoral body to ensure that makers of such inciting statements are punished immediately.
If you say you lose, it means the people don't want you. So whom are you going to form that parallel government to rule? To rule who? With an illegal government. I think that was a very irresponsible statement coming from the state government.
The words of the resident electoral commissioner will no doubt in the thinking of observers provide the needed assurance for a credible polls.
The federal government has confirmed that 7 states have recorded cases of bird flu virus. It also says the strain of the virus in the country is the H5N1 variant, which is known to have 60% fatality. Minister of Agriculture Akinwumi Adesina has, however, dismissed fears of an epidemic, saying federal authorities have stepped up containment measures in collaboration with other stakeholders. Adesina said at a press briefing in Abuja that the affected states have received the necessary government intervention on depopulation, decontamination and quarantine. He also noted that while it is still safe to eat poultry animals, Nigerians must adhere to standard precautions on storage and handling. The Agriculture Minister wants poultry farmers to report all disease conditions to veterinary authorities as well as ensure strict adherence to biosecurity measures. Nigeria hopes to get a polio-free certification from the World Health Organization by 2018. This, according to government officials, is after the country will have attained a zero-case status for 3 years. Executive Director of the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, Ado Muhammad, disclosed that the number of cases in the country is down to 6. He was speaking at an expert review committee on polio eradication in Abuja.
We are already counting days to interacting with poliovirus in Nigeria. By July 24th, 2015, which will be 1 year, that if a case of poliovirus is not reported in Nigeria, what it means is that Nigeria will have interrupted poliovirus transmission, and then 2 years later, will achieve certification.
The issue is that we still, according to WHO regulation, we need to be totally free of polio for 3 years before we can be declared polio-free. I think that is what we want to achieve. Because polio transmission is just a step in the way. Polio eradication is what we are looking for, and that will require us to sustain no polio for the next 3 years.
We'll take another break now and we'll return with business and stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Which person can you carry?
And we now for MTN
Catch Quest.
You see the look? Plenty people don't they win 10 million naira every week and 1 million naira every day. To win, just dial *170# for free and correct who go the with you. Whether that TV, generator or phone, you fit win all for free every day.
MTN, everywhere you go.
The power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote and your power for change, oh my people. Every Nigerian counts. Every Nigerian counts. Vote APC for change.
Zero tolerance to corruption. 3 million jobs in our nation. No to insecurity. Affordable quality healthcare.
The power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Vote APC for change.
Vote for change.
Vote APC.
APC.
Change.
And now to business. Capital market operators have criticized the Central Bank of Nigeria for the fixing of the value of Naira, saying that the currency should be allowed to find its value through market forces. The operators also lamented the continuous tightening of the monetary and fiscal policies by the government authorities, stressing that these measures affect liquidity in the Nigerian capital market. These were said at a combined briefing organized by the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, Association of Stockbroking Houses of Nigeria, and Association of Issuing Houses of Nigeria in Lagos. The chairman of AIHN, Victor Ogewoyi, told newsmen that the continuous fixing of Naira does not encourage investors to invest in the capital market and the economy in general. The country needs to diversify its source of foreign exchange earnings by pursuing aggressive exports, reduce the rate of import, and encourage domestic production for export. In the same vein, the president of CIS, Albert Okumagba, said that the stakeholders in the capital market have decided to engage government authorities to discuss issues that will move the market and make it contribute to the growth of the economy. This is the time for the local retail investors to invest in the market as the value of stocks are generally low. The foreign investors should not be allowed to come back to reap the opportunity in the market, Chairman Arshan Emeka Madubike says. Nigerian bond will most likely remain on the JP Morgan Emerging Markets Bond Index despite the recent negative watch placed on them by JP Morgan. JP Morgan has announced in a notice that it has placed the federal government of Nigeria bonds which are included in its Global Bonds Index Emerging Markets on negative watch list. JP Morgan, however, says this is temporary as they would continue to monitor the development in the spot FX and local treasury bond markets. It says Nigeria will be removed from the negative index watch if liquidity improves and investors are able to transact with minimal hurdles. The Debt Management Office, DMO, that is optimistic the bonds will be removed from the negative watch list, but remains in the index, enjoined all stakeholders to remain committed to the active domestic foreign exchange and FGN bond markets. It would be recalled that two circulars released in December 2014 by the Central Bank of Nigeria says JP Morgan may have based its decision to place Nigerian bonds on negative watch list as a result of the foreign exchange trading position of banks at the close of each business day and the utilization of funds purchased from the interbank foreign exchange market. And now we'll join Sabena Izoku for the stock market report.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabena Izoku. The equities market on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed on a negative note today as the Nigerian All-Shares Index depreciated by 0.20% to close at 29,759.04 basis points. The market capitalization decreased to close at 9.91 trillion naira. And all the total volume of 229.4 million units of shares valued at 3.29 billion naira were exchanged in 3,901 deals. On the gainers side, 7 up top, the gainers chart closed at 162 naira with 1 naira 90 copper gain, followed by United Africa Company of Nigeria, Ashika Cement, Guarantee Trust Bank, and UPL. On the loser side, Seplat Oil topped the chart, trailed by 40 Oil, Guinness, West African Production Company, and Nigerian Brewers. Meanwhile, Axis Bank topped the traders chart, followed by First Bank of Nigerian Holdings, Guarantee Trust Bank, United Bank for Africa, and Zenith Bank. Just to wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report is brought to you by MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Thank you, Sabena Izoku, for the report. Now we'll go on another break to bring you stories from outside Nigeria. Please don't go away.
To change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, oh. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
You can collect your permanent voters card PVC at your local government office until January 31st.
Your power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people, oh. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
Collect your PVC. Collect your PVC. Collect your PVC.
Your power to change Nigeria is in your hands. Your vote now your power for change, oh my people. Collect your card. It's not just the voters' card, it's your power to change Nigeria for good.
Vote for change. Vote APC. APC change.
Many thanks to you for being there. Russia on Wednesday responded despairingly to President Barack Obama's annual State of the Union address, claiming it showed that the United States wants to dominate world affairs. In his keynote speech on Tuesday, Obama said that big nations can't bully the small ones, a reference to Russia's annexation of Crimea and support for pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. He praised the U.S. policies towards the Kremlin over Ukraine, saying the left Moscow isolated and its economy in tatters. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov struck a condescending note, saying attempts to isolate Russia would fail and Washington's aggressive foreign policy would one day become a thing of the past.
There is just one thing at the heart of their philosophy. We are number one and the rest should acknowledge that. This is a bit out of date and does not correspond to modern realities. It shows that the United States wants to dominate the world. The relationship between Moscow and Washington have been aggravated drastically. The U.S. administration has ended the bilateral dialogue in most areas. We call on our American partners to come back to constructive cooperation in both bilateral relations and in the world where both our countries have special responsibilities.
And that's it to the CoreTV Primetime News tonight. But before we go, a recap of our major stories. Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, has expressed shock that the Nigerian army has no record of a certificate and made a formal request to school for the release. We also reported that the People's Democratic Party called on Buhari to turn himself up at the nearest police station for lying under oath over his educational qualification. Finally, more panic as federal government confirmed presence of dreaded bird flu in 7 states. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebolomo Adekule, wishing you a wonderful night rest.